Good morning, y'all. I meant to record this last night. I fell asleep while the phone was charging, and this morning I woke up and we learned that another person from the St. Louis Ferguson protest was found shot dead in his car. I believe the reports said that he was found shot, but we do know that he was found dead in his car. His young man named Skeeter Edward Crawford, and the world knows him as the young man in the iconic picture that he's picking up the bag of, he's picking up the canister of tear gas and he's throwing the canister of tear gas uh, back out away from the people who were marching. The police said was trying to charge him with throwing the canister of tear gas at them. Like, fuck, you shot it at us. So I was actually walking down the street at the moment that happened. So I'm very connected to two of his cousins, and like St. Louis is just mourning right now. So, like I said, if you know what picture I'm talking about, he's holding the tear gas and he has wearing an American flag shirt and he got a bag of chips in his hand and the canister of tear gas. He's playing back in his locker. Yeah, that's Skeeter. He was found dead. So, yeah, I'm in a headspace right now, and but I need to get through this because I got too much stuff to do. I'm going to hang out with my mom for her birthday this weekend. So, will you stop it? Damn it. The cat is now becoming part of my nuisance. Okay. So, Underground, Season 2, Episode 9. I believe it's called Citizen. I'm not exactly sure. I got to look that up. We only got one episode left of Underground this season. I'm so mad about that. Why they have not extended this show past 10 episodes, I have no idea. But we don't start off with Daniel this episode. So, I'm thinking he's just not going to be a part of it. I later found out that we was wrong, but I'll get to that later. So it starts off with Kato is up sneaking through the house. He's going from room to room, checking the walls, trying to figure out where the tunnels are at, looking for the little hideaways, going underneath the floor. And every time, he's being sneaky because every time he's walking around, he's got his head down, right? And he goes past Elizabeth. She's at the desk. And he put his head down there. And everybody looks like none the wiser that he's sneaking through this house, right? So he ends up in Georgia's room, going through her paperwork, and Harriet sneak up on his ass, like, what the hell you doing here? He like, I was here just trying to thank Miss Georgia for letting me stay. I heard that we might be leaving in a couple of days. She was like, what you doing here? That's all I really want to know. So yeah, Harriet is already being suspicious of his ass, and she tells him her name is Minty, and that's all you gonna know. She cleaned up for Miss Georgia. Good cover. Yeah, I don't trust Kato ass either. People still saying they have hope in them, believe in them. Sometimes it's just people that's just out to do you wrong because they always there for self. And Kato seems to be one of those people, no matter what, out of 19 episodes, Kato is still proving me right. And somebody mentioned before, I can't remember what channel I was on, that, Kato took over Bill's job on the plantation and he set the plantation on fire. See, he did good there. Kato didn't do that for himself. For them. He did it for himself. He knew that he could use those other 6 people and get away because he thought they were slow and they would get caught. So they would give him ample time he needed to get away. That's the only reason why Kato used those people. That's all. Okay, so after that, he leaves out the room with Harriet. They still show him creeping through the house, and he's sliding through the walls and this, that, and the other. And he goes out. Elizabeth is going through a tunnel. He goes out through the tunnel and follows her. I don't know if she left the door open behind her on purpose, but he follows her out to the woods. After a while, he doesn't see it, and he sees some carriage tracks, so he like speeds up to try to catch up to the carriage, and he notices it's off to the side. Then he hears somebody scream off in the woods, and he follows the sound of that, and there's a big barn set on fire, and it's just like blazing. He runs in and sees Miss Elizabeth is laying down on the ground. Then they go to him at Patty's. And Patty is like, look, you've been at this motherfucker 3 days and you ain't brought us back no information yet. You got all my niggas up in these safe houses looking out for Harriet ass, and ain't none of y'all brought me back anything. So he's saying, hey, just be patient. I need a little more time there. But there is a woman that's there. She's the housemaid, but she fits the description of Harriet. And Patty like, you mean a god doggone tell me that she is the most notorious slave in all of freaking history, and in her motherfucking downtown she's sweeping floors? Come on, bruh. Now her dumb ass should have believed him, but I'm glad she didn't. So Kato go grabs a knife. You know, her boys lock and load on, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Kato slits his wrist the right way. Why you didn't die? Because I thought slitting across was the wrong way. People don't listen to me. Disclaimer: I'm not trying to teach y'all how to do, you know, wrist cutting. Okay, so, but yeah, he did that so he could have more time in the house, because they're not gonna send him off, you know, injured. So Patty is pleased. He go. Next thing they show us is that he's there laying up in the bed, and Elizabeth is there taping his ass up. And he's like, don't you want to know what happened to my face? Everybody is asked what's going on. Even Miss Georgia asked me. She's like, I don't need. She said, I already know what happened. You endured a lot of pain. You got angry about it. You got mad about it. You know, and then you wanted to destroy something. That's what happened. That's all I need to know. I don't need to know the details. He basically is playing on Elizabeth's emotion, because she spoke of that. The only thing that's been constant in her life since her husband died is fear. The fear that they can do and will do anything they can to bring us down. And is it snatch, you know, your happiness right from underneath you. And he was telling her, you know, you gotta do something with that fear. You can't just sit. And she was like, it either, only two options. You either gotta go in or out. And he was like, you pull it in and push it out. And you use that fear and get so scared that you become the beast that's trying to eat you. And I'm thinking that's exactly what Kato is. He the motherfucking beast that done ate him, and he don't give a fuck who we hurt along the way. That's just Kato. So, fucking living testimony to that. So again, y'all know I'm not editing these videos. I'm looking down, so I apologize. So, then they show Kato creeping through the house again. I'm like, wait a minute. What happened? I swear the past 3 episodes I don't watch of different shows. I'm like, they keep doing these flashbacks or whatever. He creeping through the house again. And this time, though, they're showing a different point of view. So it's almost like that movie Vantage Point, where they show 7 different ways in which this scenario happened. But they're showing a second way this scenario happened. He's creeping through the house, going through the walls. They're showing Georgia and Harriet together this time. And they're also, when he walks past Elizabeth and she's looking at the abolitionist cards, or the cards they use for codes, this dude walks in. And Elizabeth looks like really shocked and nervous, like, I know who this dude is. And he put his hand on the counter, and his hand is burnt and scarred up. And she realizes who the man is, but she asked him his name anyway. And he said his name was John House or something like that. And he's like, yeah, I've been looking for you. So you about as dumb as your husband is. Come to find out, this is the motherfucker that had her out in the woods tied up to a tree trying to brand her face. And so now he just like walked up in the damn spot. She's like, you know, you need to get the fuck up out of here. He leaves, but you see Kato creeping through the walls again and sliding down, and then he rolls up on the room where Georgia is talking to Elizabeth like last time. But this time we get to hear the conversation in more detail. She's letting him know he just walked the fuck up in here. What we gonna do about that? Georgia's like, nothing. He walked away. These type of men use their presence as intimidation. We don't need to feed into that. Elizabeth is ready to pop off and kill this dude. She ready to do something. And Georgia's like, no, that's not what we finna do. She's like, we got Rosalie coming back by the weekend, and when she says that, that's when Cato shuts the door because he pretty much heard all the conversation. So he now knows that Rosalie is on her way back to that particular safe house. So that's information he could take back to Patty. Oh, bitch ass. And I'm like, again, they go through the whole scene where Elizabeth is going out of the house and Cato is following her. But this time we see Elizabeth following the dude, John. And so she's going back to his farm. He goes past her, so she doesn't do anything to him, but she sets his farm, his plantation, or if he has a plantation, sets it on fire. But when she sets it on fire, then you hear the person that screams. The person that screams is a little boy. The little boy is running into the fire, and at first Elizabeth's going to leave, but she decides not to, and she ends up following him back into the barn. So when Cato shows up, Elizabeth is passed the fuck out in this fire. But this time, instead of seeing him go wash in the water, instead of seeing him go back and talk to Patty, you see her wake up on the carriage with the little boy on the side of her. And then you go see Cato in the water, washing off the smut from his body. And Patty rolls up on him, and he comes up out of the water like, we got 2 days. And I'm thinking, what the fuck, Cato? You really is working with this bitch. You really is. Okay, so Elizabeth brings the little boy back to the house. He's burned really bad. And Georgia and Elizabeth are going at it as far as like the actions that she took. And now, because of those actions, this little boy is harmed. And Elizabeth, like, he was going to be just like his daddy. He was raising him to own people. He was going to be just like his daddy. And Georgia had faith that the little boy could change. And look at TR. TR supposedly was James's best friend. He was being raised by a man who was owning slaves, and TR, that was his prize in life, that when he got older, he was going to get the plantation and he was going to own slaves too. Is the only reason why Ben probably wasn't tainted, because Ben didn't know what his daddy was doing. August, he didn't know what his daddy was doing all that time. And then once he became older, he realized what the hell his daddy was doing, but he had already been sheltered from that because he had been raised with a black man all his life as if that was his daddy's friend. So now he know that his daddy is out here catching slaves. He don't feel too proud about his father. You know what I'm saying? So it's very possible that Elizabeth is right. But okay, Georgia, Georgia always got to have the good, peaceful mindset and head on. Okay, so Georgia goes in and tells Harriet pretty much, you need to keep a check on Elizabeth. She tells her what happened with John, and Harriet is like, that's what's up. My girl did that. She's like, please don't tell her that. She don't need to be encouraged about any more violence. I guess they're exchanging the codes and whatever they have to do to get her on the way, but Harriet is about to go off to Mr. Barnett's house. Mr. Steele is going to pay him. And at this moment, I'm thinking, where is Mr. Steele? He ain't been around in a minute. And she asked her about Cato, how long he been there. She's like, he been there two days. She's like, I don't trust his ass. Keep an eye on him. Elizabeth's like, I got you. I'm going to keep an eye on him. But then they go back to the scene where Cato and, not Elizabeth, Georgia say, I'm going to keep my eye on him. I got you. They go back to the scene where Cato and Elizabeth are sitting there by the bed again. She's taking up his arm. And they play this entire scene over completely. All the words, everything. With the exception that they are showing a different view of her face. And she's, I'm sitting here thinking, why does she not realize that he is one of the Macon Seven? Elizabeth went to that plantation when he was a house nigga there. Vito, sit down, boy. Sit. She went to the plantation when he was there, and he was like in the house, so that's a face that you would remember. But she doesn't connect the dots that Cato is Cato. I mean, even the name Cato. But like, everybody knew Cato from being around town was this rich slave or former slave that was going around throwing around money all around town. And also he disappeared and he showed up at the safe house. How come they don't know who Cato is? I don't know. Okay, but Mm. Especially since Harry had been in contact with Mr. Steele and Frederick Douglass. How come they don't know this? Okay, but they go to Harriet out on the road. She's heading to Mr. Barnett's, I'm assuming. She's, exchanging clues in different hiding spots. She's taking care of her horse. And she comes upon a church and she decides to pray. And she's struggling with the fact that Frederick Douglass and Mr. Steele want her to talk to more people and share her story more. But she knows that this will help bring them money. So, but she feels like it's being boastful and prideful to keep talking about that over and over again. She says she's like no better than anybody else. There's other former slaves or runaways who have a similar story, if not better story than her, who's going back and doing the same thing as her. So she doesn't understand why she's the chosen one. And she says she knows she ain't never not listened to what God has told her to do. But she questions at this moment if she is the one who should be leading. She doesn't feel like she should be a leader. John Brown calls her General. I forgot that General Tubman was one of the other names for her besides Moses. And she's like, she don't feel like a leader. That scares her, the idea that she's the one that's supposed to be out here leading. So Harriet comes upon a safe house, knocking, 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 knocking. Open the door, and I'll be damned if it's not Noah. I was like, yes, Noah. Okay, so then they go to another scene that's not where Harriet is at. And Rosalie, Noah, Cora is in here in this safe house. And the lady who owns the house is not having it. She's like, this is not the deal. You said you was going to bring 4 people here who would not want it. And now you done set your master house on fire. By the afternoon, everybody going to be looking for your ass. And I don't need that drama on my doorstep. And Noah's like, you need the money, don't you? It looked right to ask me if you need the money. If we go, the money go with us. So she agrees to let them stay. And Cora is like, is this your idea of a damn safe house? I don't feel safe. She just going on and on and on. And Rosalie is trying to get herself out of that corset. Noah comes behind her. And you can tell he got something to say, but he ain't going to say it. So he helps get her up out that corset. And she mentions that she thinks it's a boy. And I guess to try to like open up the conversation with Noah about the baby. And at that moment, Cora tells her that James is about to wake up. So I'm thinking they were up in the attic sleep. And all of a sudden you hear loud noise, fighting and cussing and stuff breaking. Rosalie gets up. Noah covers up James's mouth so he won't scream. Where's Cora? Rosalie goes and looks down the stairs, and Cora is at the bottom of the stairway or the ladder with a bullet to the back. They done shot her. And the guy's like, oh, I told you to shoot her in the leg. He's like, oh, well, whatever. He comes and drags her away, and you just see this pool of blood just stretched. So Cora is gone. I was really hoping to see Cora on this run. I would love to see some new people added to the journey. But Cora done got caught, and she's shot in the back. And I'm just like, oh, God, I hope this poor child don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Please, Cora, don't say nothing. And, Noah, James, and Rosalie, they ride away in the night at this point. They're underneath the carriage, and James is like, is this how we're going to have to travel this whole damn way? Rosalie like, nah, baby, we're going to get to the train, and we're going to get there a lot faster. He's like, we got to ride underneath the damn train now. As a little kid would do, but I'm so glad that he's not fighting it. He's not screaming, Hope he ain't got no plan in his head to pop off and do something crazy. And Noah is talking to James. It's like, nah, brother, you're going to get on the train. It's going to go fast. It's going to be faster than any horse you ever rode on. And the whole world is going to get to pass by you. And they trying to encourage him about the whole trip and the whole journey, about when he get to the end, what it's going to be like. And they could even go as far as Canada. And there's communities of people thriving in society, and even Boo is there. Remember Boo? He's like, yeah, I remember her. He's like, yeah, you at least have a friend there. You already got one friend. So, once they get to this new safe house, this is the house that Harry ends up showing up to. They get to this new safe house. Um, they get to arguing about that baby. Ooh, Noah was so mad and emotional, and he had every right to be. He's like, you put your damn family over our family. She's like, no, I know it seemed that way, but that's not what happened. I mean, that is my brother though. And he was like, let me see if I can read this. He said, I sat there and watched Bill about to hurt you. And I was so scared. I had never felt fear like that in my life. Until you said the words that you was carrying my baby. And a whole new other type of fear hit me. And I couldn't believe that I would be struck by such fear by the woman that I love, by the one who I thought would never hurt me in the world. He said, you took your selfishness and caused me that type of pain. You sacrificed our family for your family, and you tricked me into doing it with you. You took away my choice. You keep saying that we did this. We didn't do this. You did this because you tricked me into doing it. You put our baby's life in danger. You know what? You ain't no better than your damn daddy, and you think I'm just be your slave. I was like, oh. Then all of a sudden we go to Daniel, and I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck? Daniel's back, and I'm looking at the time. I'm like, we got 10 minutes left. Oh, we finna get 10 minutes worth of Daniel. We ain't gonna get 2. I was like, yes, 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 yes. So Daniel is at, I forgot the name of his plantation. The Rowe plantation was the one in, he's at his plantation, the Fellows plantation. And his daughter is, him and his daughter is like sneaking, looking to see what's going on. And she's giving him play-by-play about Miss Jenny just got her baby boy Gabriel just snatched right out of her arms. And she's screaming, and the overseer knocked her upside the head because she was yelling and wouldn't shut up. And they pretty much tearing them apart. And it looks like they're getting sold off. And she said that the stable boy was right there. And the stable boy looked like he ready to pop the fuck off. He said he had that look that she seen on the face of people who was running, who decided they was going to run for their freedom. That's the look that the stable boy had on his face. She said, but then she looked again at Miss Jenny. Miss Jenny had a look on her face that words couldn't even describe. You know, they just took her boy and they finna go off in 2 separate directions. And then she realized what's going on when she turned to Daniel. She said, Daddy, is that going to happen to us? They about to sell us too? I'm going to be separated from you? And Daniel's like, no, I ain't even let that happen. It's not going to go down like that. She's like, what we going to do? We going to run? Baby girl ready to run. And he say, later that day, he in the house and talking to his wife and his daughter, and he finds out that it's only 9 slaves left on that property. 9 people, 9, the number 9. And she like, he like, I need to find John Brown. And the mama like, how you gonna do that? You gonna get across that river and you ain't gonna ask the wrong person the wrong thing and it's gonna get you killed. And he said, what you think I should do? You should say, oh, Master, please don't sell me. You know I'm just a helpless Negro. I'm just a helpless nigga, and I ain't gonna do you no harm if you let me stay here and work for you and be a good boy. I'll be a good nigga. And he said, what you think, I'm helpless? And she's like, no, I don't think you're not helpless, baby. He said, hey, freedom is our only option. And if we don't go for it right now, we ain't gonna never see it. I was like, you better say that, Daniel. And I'm trying to figure out how damn you finna do this because you can't see. Okay, so she said, it's not that I think that you can't do anything. She said, it's just that our baby is up in that big house. So they have another baby that the master is keeping up in the big house. He said, you know, they keeping our baby up in that house. Freedom is no less needed. My eyesight is gone, but our freedom is still no less needed. He said, right, they doing that just to keep all of us still here in chains. And she finally says, baby, what you want me to do? I'll do whatever you want. I'm down for you. I'm down with you. I got you. We're doing this together. He said, so all I need you to do for me right now is just love me. Pray for me. And be ready. When it's time to go, baby, be ready. And especially if he happen to fail, just be ready for whatever. If he happen to fail, 25, 35. Okay. So he goes off to work in the morning, hops up on the carriage, and while he's on the carriage, you see him fiddling with his strap on his bag. He gets off on the university where they're going to work, and he hears some young guys talking about Ripley. So he walks over to him and bumps into him. They didn't act funny with him, you know. Go somewhere. And they didn't act funny with him, but he goes off and he ends up in Ripley, in the town Ripley. He's walking through. This must be a progressive part of town because nobody is tripping off the fact too much that he's walking around. But one guy stops and asks him for his freedom papers. And he was like, oh, yes, sir, I got this. And so he shows him his work papers. And he was like, you a long way away from the damn university. And the guy, he's like, well, yeah, my bag broke and I'm looking for a cobbler. So the guy leads him to this cobbler, and he walks in, and he kind of dropping like a lot of the clues, I guess. So I guess he must have heard about this town, and the cobbler is part of the thing, and so he's dropping all these clues, and the cobbler's like, no, I can't help you, bro. There's nothing I can do. And he was like, well, I heard there was like 6 cobblers in this town, and 2 of them, you know, basically is down for the cause. I'm gonna be straight with you. I'm looking for John Brown. I heard that I could go to the right one. I'm hoping that you're the right man. And the guy was like, I don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing I can do for you. He said, but he didn't seem like, you know, nigga this, nigga that, nigga that. Like, he just like, I just can't help you. You can just hear the fear in his voice. And so at this moment, I'm realizing that he's not totally blind. It looked like one eye is a lot of fuzz. So he still can see shapes, and he's not totally blind, thank God. Maybe some of his eyesight will regain as the show goes on. I don't know, but he's not totally blind. You just don't know how happy I was to hear that. So, when he gets ready to leave out of the cobbler shop, the guy stops him. He said, you know what? Hold on for a second. Then they go back to the safe house with Elizabeth, and she's like, can I help you? She looks up, and another man is standing there, and it is Daniel. He made his way all the way to the safe house. Tell you what a man won't do when he determined. When he is determined. What Harriet say? When you got that fire of freedom consuming you, you're going to do what it takes to get it. This man, halfway blind, don't know what's going to happen to him. He just out here talking the good talk, and he makes his way to that damn safe house. We finally get Daniel connected with the rest of the cast. Season 3 is going to be lit. Season 3 going to be lit because they got to go back and get his family, baby. He going back and get them. Trust and believe that. Oh, my God. Next week is the last episode of Underground. That recap is going to be on time. I'm consumed with the idea of getting that to y'all on time. I hope I can live tweet it. I really can. I really do. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for being patient with me. This is Underground. Peace.